Hello, everybody. We are back with you again this Tuesday night. And tonight I have my dear friend and ministry partner, Rita, with me. And so, Rita, we are just so passionate about sharing about abortion and abortion recovery. I love your heart for this ministry. And I just want to introduce you. I'll let you introduce yourself. Jump on in and just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Oh, what I do. Where do you want me to start on that one? I'm Rita Young. I live in Ben Wheeler, been here about 25 years. And I am, my husband's been in the ministry since we've been married, 52 years. So do you want to know more about me, or do we going to talk about?
Let's just dive right in. Why not? I know that you've had, like me, you've had 2 abortions.
Okay, yes.
So
yes.
let's just start with that. Just dive in and share your abortion story.
Okay. When I was a teenager, like in my last couple of years of high school, I was pretty promiscuous. And I ended up getting pregnant. And then not even a year later, I got pregnant again and had abortions both times. It was sort of a traumatic, my last abortion was a traumatic experience, ended up in the hospital. So I went back home, and from there, I began to go back to church and began to know I just did not want to live that way again. I did not want that kind of life. I only had about 2 years that I just was doing kind of my own thing and promiscuous, and I went back home, which was a very good thing for me to do. I got into a Sunday school department that had a very good caring group in it, and I met a young man and eventually married that young man. Been married to him now for 52 years, like I said. And I knew that the Lord was leading me into a new ministry, a ministry to full time. But I had these abortions in my past. And I told my husband before I got married, I didn't want that secret hanging over us because I knew that was nothing I was going to ever forget. And so I shared that with us before we got married and wanted him to know. And then later on, as we had 3 kids and they were old enough, I shared it with them too. I did not want secrets with my children either.
But I want to dive into that for a second. How did your husband take that news? Because you were not yet married when you told him. So how did you knew you had to tell him, you didn't want those secrets. How did you go up and say, by the way, this happened? Like,
just about like that. Well, it's a few years ago, my sister told me that my mother had told me that I needed to do that. So that was surprising because I thought it was something that I just thought I needed to do. Well, when we went out to a date one night, I told him, I said, there's just something that I need to tell you that I've done. And, the word abortion, BJ, this was in the 60s, okay? That was a long time ago. And I don't think I'd ever even heard the word abortion. It was not something that was on TV like it is now. So he was not very familiar with the idea of abortion. He just knew that I'd been promiscuous, and he said, I forgive you and I love you anyway. And we went on. And so that's how, that I remember that night. I remember us driving in the car and me sharing all of my past with him. But I still felt like I had something in my past, that was not right.
Right.
And as we were in the ministry and as we were serving, and it haunted me. It just haunted me. And I did not, I think it was so far that I had pushed it so deep in my thinking that I did not know that I had issues. I didn't know that it would come up and and disrupt my thinking or my marriage. You know, I was very insecure, and as pastor's wife too. But I was very insecure. And my husband told me one time, he says, "You need to forgive yourself." Oh, uh, I said, I never thought about that. So he saw things in me, issues that would come up like that, you know. And it was, I would see billboards in the malls that had broken babies, you know, like they show even now some. And I would just quickly look away, you know. I think I had still tried so hard and so long to forget, you know, and I learned later that it takes a lot of effort to forget.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work to forget. So
Now, in that season after your abortion, you mentioned that your mom had said you needed to tell your at that time boyfriend, fiance. How many people knew your secret, and were you open with that secret after your abortions, or was it something you kept private?
very private. My parents knew, and my two sisters, of course, and I had an aunt out west, cousin. My parents set up my first abortion out west, and because my aunt knew of somebody that knew of somebody, so that's why she knew. But besides that, there was nobody. I was not open with it. I mean, a good Christian little girl does not get pregnant.
And so,
so
this was before Roe v. Wade, correct?
yes, yes.
And so can we talk about that just for a minute? Because so many people have this idea that abortions did not happen before Roe v. Wade. But they did. We know that they did. And there were legal and illegal abortions happening at that time. So do you mind talking about that just for a minute, about how that even transpired for your two abortions?
Well, like I said, my parents set up my first abortion. So as far as I know, I remember sitting across with my mother, sitting across the desk with this doctor out in West Texas somewhere. And that's really all I remember. I know I was completely put out under. And so, but I just remember waking up on a gurney going down a hallway. So that was, and he said, the only thing as I remember him saying was, "You'll be able to have babies after this." But my second abortion, I had moved away from home. I was living in an apartment with a lady that I worked with, and she got pregnant, and then she told me later that after I told her that I'm pregnant again, I continued my promiscuousness.
Was this with the same father as the first child, or a different father?
I had multiple, and I do not even know who the fathers were. I do not know, because I had multiple partners, you know.
Yeah. And so you probably didn't tell the fathers. The fathers had no role in the abortion decision.
No, they did not. They did not know I was ever pregnant. So I've had to apologize to my kids. I said, "I'm sorry. I do not know the fathers of these babies that I had, that I have in heaven." But anyway, this is a little gross, and this is really hard for me to tell. When I facilitate abortion recovery classes, sometimes I will share this. It just depends on what is said and what needs to be said. But in those days, when it was very illegal, a girl just did what she had to do. And I told my roommate that I had gotten pregnant. She said, "Okay, I was pregnant and I did this, and I'm not pregnant anymore." So we tried this. We tried, and I'm not going to describe it very extensively, but it was a coat hanger and a catheter. And the coat hanger scratched me up in there, and I ended up in the night with a high fever. And I had to call my mom, and she came and got me and took me to the doctor. And I ended up in the hospital with another abortion. I'm sure it was a D&C. So that's the way it was done then. If women could not find a good place for an abortion, then they just tried it on their own. And that's why, and I told someone, I said, when I realized this, I could have died. I could have died from that attempt. And it scared me. It scared me when I first realized that just a few years ago. In fact, in facilitating a class, I remembered that, and I think I began to cry, and I realized that I could have died, but God had other plans. He had other plans.
Yeah.
He put this young man in my sight, and did not let me go. He has never let me go.
I love that you're willing to share that. And I know that it's really scary. But we know that abortion is ugly. And whether it is a self attempt of a home abortion or in an abortion clinic or a hospital, abortion is dangerous. And, I mean, obviously you were taking a huge risk at trying to perform it yourself and to end that pregnancy at that time. But those things happen in abortion clinics and hospitals as well. So I don't want to give the misconception that had you gone to a clinic or a hospital to begin with, that it would have been safer. I mean, it hopefully would have been a little bit safer, but it still has great risk of death and infertility and all of the other physical, emotional, and spiritual complications that come with abortion.
So, in fact, when we tried to have children, we couldn't have any children. We were married 4 years before we had our first, after going through infertility test. But I had blocked a tube with that second one and did not know it. But like I said, God had other plans, and He gave me 3 miracle children.
That's amazing.
I just feel like they are a blessing, and 3 miracle kiddos. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I had visited with another lady. I did an interview yesterday with Janet Serqua, and she was not able to have children after her abortion. And, we hear that a lot. And many of us, like myself and you, we've had multiple pregnancies, multiple live children, along with our multiple abortions. But a real life consequence to abortion can be infertility. And, we get sometimes wrapped up in this idea, and I know you've worked with women as well in abortion recovery, that they think if they can't have children that God is punishing them for taking the life of the child that they had. And we know that's not scriptural. We don't have a God that does that. There's a real life consequence physically. Sometimes it happens from the choice of abortion, and sometimes that causes infertility. But our loving Heavenly Father isn't the one punishing us for that. It's a physical complication from the abortion.
BJ, our guilt from killing those babies can cause us to be fearful of if He does give us children, if He blesses us with children later, that we're fearful that He will take them away because of what we did. That He will punish us for what we did. But like you said, we know God's word does not say that. So that is something that we have to get to, and a point that we have to grow to in the Lord, to knowing that He does not punish us, but He forgives.
Yeah.
And He loves.
In all of your experience working with post-abortive women, what are some of those symptoms that you recognize, that you experienced yourself, but that you also see in other women that they may not even recognize? Like, if you're like, for the women that are watching this tonight that think they're okay, like like it's buried, it's a long time ago, I love Jesus, I'm forgiven. Like, we have this head knowledge of the truth of that, but deep down we know there's still something wrong, and we don't know how to even tie that back to the abortion. What would you say to the woman watching tonight that knows that she had an abortion, but she thinks she's okay? What would you say to her?
That's kind of hard, I think. I went for years. I was okay. I was just fine. I did not see anything until I got on the other side, and the Lord began to show me things. I've seen women to go through our classes that have they're into drugs, they're into alcohol, or they continue to promiscuous lifestyle, or they have troubles with a husband, whatever, different things like that. And then when they go through the class, they realize that it's because of the abortion. Those things began after their abortion. God was gracious to me, and He took me out of that life right afterwards, and I am so grateful. but I still had the guilt and the shame, and all that stuff was still there. And I did not even know it until he began to show me through the Forgiven and Set Free Bible study, and then setting me totally free from that. But, I see women, they're very bitter. Some are just very bitter, and they don't know why, or very angry. So, I know the Bible study, Forgiven and Set Free, just the scripture is targeted to that woman or that man who has had an abortion, so that they can see that there is redemption, there is freedom. We can forgive ourselves. Like my husband said, you need to forgive yourself. I didn't know that I needed to go there.
Yeah.
But the Lord has wiped that slate clean, and given me the ability now to, and the privilege and the ministry to kind of draw out women who have had an abortion, and they don't want to talk about it. They're not ready to talk about it, or they have already, like they share it a lot, but there's still that hidden anger or whatever. So, but I know that there is freedom. There is when the Lord takes those things that cleans out that dark hole that we've made and put all that awful stuff in it, then there is a freedom that we didn't know that we could have in the Lord and in our life too.
I love that. So I want to, I think it's comical about how you got involved with abortion recovery specifically. I know you were working with Hope Pregnancy Center there in Canton, and I may have this story mixed up in my brain, but wasn't it kind of like you thought you should help with this, and the lady was like, here's a book, kind of figure it out.
You got it. Yeah. When we, on Sanctity of Human Life Sunday, I love this, Hope Pregnancy Center came to our church to speak. And I thought, oh, that sounds like something I want to get involved with. And so I got busy with our new ministry there in Canton. And the next year, January, on Sanctity of Human Life Sunday, they came back to the church, and I immediately went Tuesday, that next day, to the next day they were open, to Hope. And I started volunteering there, and I was there for a year. And I began to see girls coming in that had had abortions. They wanted to have an abortion. I thought, okay, I've had two. Surely there's something that maybe I can help with. So I went to the director, but that was several months later. It was real scary to go to the director. Now, I got to tell you this too. I love that lady. She's a sweetheart. And when I filled in my application, I think she knew I was a pastor's wife, so she didn't look at it too closely. So why would you dream a pastor's wife would have abortions in her past? But I put two up there on that little line that asked if I had abortions, and she did not see that. She told me later, she said, God had his hand over those two, so I wouldn't see that, because she knew she knew later that I wasn't ready at the time. But I prayed and I prayed, and I said, Lord, give me the guts to go speak to the director of Hope then. And so I did. And yes, she said she was kind of surprised, needless to say. And she handed me this book, Bible study book. And she said, okay, we really need someone here to teach this. So take this home and go through it, and see what you think. And then she also gave me, in my other hand, a Facilitating Biblical Healing. She said, take this. This is kind of like the leader's book, and just see what you think. Well, I never even knew there was a thing as abortion recovery. Just blew me away. And I was so excited. But the Lord had already been preparing me for healing. And so I went home and I dived into that book, and I thought, oh my goodness. I began to see I had so much shame that I never dealt with, never realized. I had so much guilt and the secrecy. I don't think I was fearful. That wasn't one of the things that I could identify with, but, and just so many other things that were there that I was not aware of. And I went through that book in the summer of 2013, all by myself. And I cried a whole lot because I was just blown away that I had not I did not see that those were babies. It was an inconvenience, and I wanted it out of my life. And but the Lord would show me something, and He would help me give it to Him, and I would get so excited. And so when I go in the next week to be a volunteer at Hope, I would tell her, I said, I'm so excited. This is what the Lord is showing me. Anyway, so I finished the book, and kind of as I did, I would open the Facilitating Healing book and look at it. But I was really majoring in, looking. And I said, when I finished, I said, there was a statement in the Facilitating Biblical Healing book that I read that said, if, I'm going to get it wrong here. I should have looked at it already, but, something like that, if the one who's been through this does not tell and share, who else can,
Right.
And so I thought, oh my goodness, Lord, I hear you. I know exactly what you got for me to do. And it's to begin this ministry. And so I went to her, and she said, okay, I've got 3 ladies lined up. I said, oh, great. I was excited from the very beginning. I was excited. And it was at the center. So it was done kind of differently than we do it now. And so I did lady to finish it. And we did our memorial service the same time together. In a few months later, because we were kind of hoping the other ladies would finish up. But anyway, so the Lord began a ministry through me, and I got that Facilitating Biblical Healing book, and I studied it, and I said, hey, look, we're supposed to be doing this in groups. So she said, okay, let's do that in groups. So we began in August of 14 and began our first group. And then we began having 2 a year. Always in August or September, and always one in February. And we've had 7 groups. And I'm starting my next one next Thursday night, and we already have 3 ladies signed up to do the class with us. So
I love that. Now,
I do too.
So
I'm in love with it.
How do you have time if a lady listens to this tonight, and says, I want in on that? Do you have room for her, or would we need to get her into the next class? Because we both because you came under the umbrella of CARE, and we have ongoing options, and we can do it virtually now. We have the group class, we can do one-on-one. So we have lots of options. But if they wanted to join your September class, if they hear this tonight, would they have time to get registered and start with you on Thursday?
Yes, she would. In fact, I have a lady I'm meeting with in the morning. To get her started. She's our 3rd lady I just got connected with today. So yes, she could. I would have until Tuesday probably. I would give her probably until Tuesday. But
okay. Now remind me of the date, because
it's September 10 at 6:30. That's a Thursday night.
Okay.
We do it in the evenings.
Perfect. And this is in the Canton Hope Pregnancy Center.
Right. We're doing it right there in the lobby of the pregnancy center. It works well there. I started out doing it in a room at our church, and kind of moved to the center. Everything's right there. Yeah. And it just
it's
works
very confidential. So we want to make sure
very.
If you are hurting from abortion, whether you can join Rita's class, which is starting Thursday night, September 10th, in Canton, or if you want to join another one of our classes, we have them. It's constant. There's always a class for us to plug you into. Everything from the moment you email us, call us, Facebook message us, however you reach out, it's always confidential. We will never share with anyone that you reached out to us, and we will get you in an abortion recovery program, weekend, weekly, bi-weekly, however it needs to work with your schedule. We will work it out for you, or virtual. Kind of the way our world has turned is everything's virtual now. So part of what CARE has done, partnering also with Hope and other, pregnancy resource centers, is we are making our program available virtually. And so if you are interested in a virtual group, we still prefer the group setting, because we know that it's that group connection where you really hear those stories and how you relate to each and every woman's story. So if you're interested in a virtual group, please contact me and we will get you scheduled for that, because it's so, so powerful, so life-changing. I know you agree with that, Rita. We talk about this all the time. I love the passion that you have for abortion recovery. And so as we close out tonight, one last kind of shout out, what would you say to the men and women watching tonight?
If you've had an abortion, or you know someone who does, but don't wait. Even though you may not think that there's anything that you've got there that needs to come out, which there always is. I just agree that there always is. But to make a call to somebody and share the fact that you have, and just know that there is redemption, there is freedom for you. So, yes.
Right. Well,
Thank you,
thank you
BJ.
so much. Thank you, Rita. I love you, girl. Thanks for being so willing. I know that it's not easy, even for us that we share about our abortions all the time and we're pretty used to that. It's not easy to just get on and publicize to the world the ugly things that we've done. So I appreciate you and your courage, and your husband and the way that he supports you as a pastor and supports the ministry work that we're doing. And I love you so much. I appreciate you. So you have a great night, my friend.
Thank you, BJ.
Bye, y'all. Remember, we are here for you no matter what has been done to you, no matter what you have done to yourself. There is hope and healing in Jesus Christ. And if we can walk the journey of healing from your abortion experience with you, we would just love to be on that journey. So give us a call, 903-944-7852. You are not alone. God bless you.